that has traditionally been more tied in with the representing the national interests. And the Navy, as I understand it, is very upset with the way the whole management system has been transnationalised, has been taken out of the hands of constitutional government in the US, and that the Navy is fighting back. And I think it's very important to point out the role of the Navy in the Obama administration. His Director of National Intelligence, Dennis Blair, is a four-star admiral, or ex-four-star admiral. His National Security Advisor, Jim Jones, is a four-star Marine, and the Marines are traditionally Navy. They're kind of subservice of the Navy. And now you've had recently the appointment of a NASA administrator who is an ex-Marine, a general again in the Marines. And what you have here is in the background a process by which these, and all of these people that I've named have been briefed fully on the UFO issue. They know about the black projects. And I think that they are the ones that are preparing the groundwork for this to be moved forward. And I know that the Navy has been also involved in other things, such as the 2008 disclosure of secret meetings at the UN concerning UFOs, and that there was a senior Navy UFO working group was involved in that. And I've recently been able to confirm that 2 of the vice admirals, 3-star admirals that were involved in that there was a blowback for that, and they were basically forced into retirement. And I can't name them at this point, but there's been a struggle. Navy took the initiative disclosing these UN meetings. There was blowback. 2 3-star admirals were sacked, but that was kind of 16 months ago, and so there's been time for the Navy to reorganise. Now you've got these Navy people surrounding Obama, so I think we are going to see this movement forward, and the Navy is going to be playing a big role in that.
Do you ever, all of you, remember the movie called 7 Days in May?
Sure.
And you know what the gist of it was? That a bunch of admirals and generals are going to take over the country. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something, and I have this from first-hand sources. There is a whole passel of generals and admirals that are so pissed off about this cover-up and the lies that are being told that they're this close to, I don't know whether they want to take over the country, but I think they damn well want the truth to come out.
Yeah, I think we can say some of the resignations that have been happening as a result of that.
And they're not going to put up with this crap anymore.
I mean, we're talking about the United States, and this is a worldwide situation. And what's interesting is that Henry Deacon is in the audience, and he is nodding yes to what you have just said. And in fact, Camelot is alive and operational, and we have been told this by a number of people on the inside, because we are protected by just such people, which we call white hats. It's just a terminology.
The reason I'm alive is because of those people.
There you go. So certainly the white hats have been behind the scenes working to make this disclosure even possible. In a sense, our Pete Peterson is a white hat, okay? And his background is 10 years as a Marine, okay? You wanted to say something, Rob?
Yes, and then I'll go over to Dr. Leary. I just wanted to say, I mean, I'm the only German guy here. You're mostly Americans.
British.
British. Yes, British. I said I'm the only German guy. I didn't say I'm the only and Australian, of course, and British as well. But this is like the Anglo, how do you say that, Anglophonic world. But I think that there is a real chance for disclosure when the Anglo-Saxon banking system goes down. And I think that there is a good chance that this can happen quite fast. I mean, all of the external debt of the United States is actually in the hand of the Chinese. and you have emerging states like, especially the Chinese, you have India, you have Russia, and you have Brazil. So all of these countries, they deal with the UFO issue in a much more open way than the Americans do, for obvious reasons. I mean, like in Brazil, they have open UFO files with UFO encounters in the jungle, which is amazing. In India, they have the flying vimanas, and it's part of their culture, actually, that the flying gods that came from heaven and helped to create human culture. So for them, it's not such a big issue that there's extraterrestrials. And just recently, I talked to a Chinese master of a spiritual some spiritual thing. I don't know how to describe that now in English. Anyway, she told me that she knows that extraterrestrial contact is actually something considered official in China, that there are university professors openly dealing with the contents of what the contactees are being told by them and how it all relates to quantum physics and stuff. And I think that this is actually a very interesting thing, and that this might emerge when we live not in a mono polar world, but in a multipolar world, which I hope will happen soon. Excuse me for that. I don't want to offend you Americans, but you know, in my sense, I think that's the best thing we can do, to have a multipolar world, and then I think disclosure will be much more likely than what we have right now. Now, please.
Yeah, I was just going to return to this issue of anger, because I think that's the largest obstacle to disclosure, just in general, is how are people reacting or going to react to disclosure.
Having been conned for so many years.
Having been conned for so many years. And to my way of thinking, this is the kind of anger management might be the right kind of approach for this, because, and especially in America. And I think you're right, the multipolar world, I think if America could recognize that a little bit more and kind of loosen up a little bit, that maybe there is a way of slipping through this period, which is obviously heads are going to roll. There is going to be a lot of vindictiveness and anger, and somehow that needs to be managed in a way that's for everybody's benefit, and that's the big issue.
You live out of the country at the moment.
Yes.
So you may have lost touch with a few things. And I'm not saying this in a negative sense. I live in Arizona. And there is a run on ammunition. People are buying guns and ammunition in the Southwest to such a level that the sporting goods stores and the gun store cannot keep a stock on hand, because the minute they get a shipment, the shelves are cleaned out. Now, this is the group of people that I happen to know pretty well, because I came from that group. And they are stockpiling guns, they're stockpiling ammunition, and when the word comes out how they've been conned and lied to for so long, you're going to have blood in the streets. And I think the Obama crowd, being sharp, know this. And I don't believe that Obama is going to let this, he doesn't want this on his plate right now, because he's got so damn many other things to deal with.
Stephen, what do you think about
how many people out there throughout the country are buying guns and stockpiling ammunition? That is an indication that there is a level of frustration and anger out there in the American mass that the politicians in Washington may not even be aware of.
Yeah. Stephen talks to politicians all the time, don't you, Stephen?
Not exactly, but one of my concerns here is we're about to go on the radio in a couple minutes.
Yep.
So
we'll just continue pretty smoothly.
But I mean, that audience is coming in.
Right.
That's right.
So they don't know what's going on. So I'm going to make a very quick comment, because there's a lot of things I'd like to comment on, but there's no antecedent for the audience. I'll have to we'll re-up it. But let me just say this. I mean, this is very short and sums up a lot of things. I believe that the principal reason that Americans are experiencing so much angst and frustration, cynicism and paranoia, the principal reason that they're buying guns and or expressing themselves in ways which are concerning, is not because they've been told